All right, what's happening, good people? Hey, if you're watching this on Facebook, do me a favor and type replay in the comments. It's more likely you're going to catch this on replay. Appreciate you joining us. For the rest of us, welcome to Travel Talks. Hey, everybody that is here live in the Zoom with me. I appreciate y'all joining as usual. Let me know where you're watching from. I am back in the country. I am back in the United States. I am in the south suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. And I'll get into all of what's been going on here in just a moment, but I appreciate y'all joining us for another edition of Travel Talk. So I want to make sure I bring up my slides and start our presentation off correctly. So let me get this in order. That would have been nice. All right, appreciate y'all joining us today. I see we got a couple of you in here live with us. I am just sharing. Oh, I need to spotlight for everyone. There we go. All right, here I am right here. I appreciate y'all joining us for Travel Talks. Let's have a great show. I should be pretty interesting. And if you, as usual, if you have any questions, just drop them down in the comments. If you're here live when I'm through with the show, with the overview of the information, I'll definitely open it up for any Q&A that you might have for me directly. But I want to share my screen first and start the show. Here we go. All right, you should be able to see my screen now. Again, welcome to Travel Talks from the Sankofa Experiences by Urban Intellectuals. I'll get into explaining all of those names here in just a moment, but let me give you our intro video first. Welcome to Travel Talks, where we embark on a journey of discovery with Sankofa Experiences, powered by Urban Intellectuals. I'm your host, Freddie Taylor, the CEO and founder of Urban Intellectuals, here to guide you through our African diaspora's rich history and culture. Sankofa Experiences is more than just travel, it's a movement. We dive deep into our roots across Africa and the diaspora, turning every journey into a powerful connection with our ancestors. Our mission? To make the exploration of Black history accessible, inspiring, and informative. Join us as we share insights from our travels, celebrate our history, and foster a deeper understanding of our collective identity. With Sankofa Experiences, every destination is a step closer to home. Let's explore together. Welcome to Travel Talks. All right, welcome to Travel Talks. I appreciate y'all joining us, as I usually mention. Oh, there we go. I'm trying to get back on camera. Here we go. But there's a lot going on in the organization as usual, so I'll get to that in just a moment. But I love to give you a nice overview, right? So this is all powered by Urban Intellectuals. Our mantra is Black History Made Easy. So much so we do that by taking people on Black History travel experiences as well. And we call those our Sankofa experiences. So if you hear me talking about a Sankofa experience, that's referring to our travel arm of our business, where we make Black history and culture come alive with live travel experiences. And it's via our Sankofa experiences that we are putting together Travel Talks, right? So that's kind of how everything comes together. But the umbrella organization is Urban Intellectuals, that is focused on Black History Made Easy. My name is Freddie Taylor. I'm the CEO and founder of Urban Intellectuals. Black History Made Easy is not only our mantra, but it's our way of life around here at the organization. It's what we do each and every day. No, not just during Black History Month or around Juneteenth, 365 days of the year. We are committed to building and growing the understanding of our place in history, because we understand that history has a direct impact on our present and our future. So that's our focus as an organization. But let me get back to detailing what's going on in and around the company. So I want to bring my screen back up and just give you a quick overview of everything that is happening, right? So it's a lot going on at Urban Intellectuals. We are not an organization where grass grows beneath our feet. So what's happening this week? Well, this week we have our Black to School event coming up Monday, September the 2nd. So you can click the link. Ashley should be dropping in the comments. Hey, yeah, hey, Cheryl. Yeah, Shirley, appreciate you joining us. How exciting. I love it. But we are doing our Black to School, Navigating a Broken System, where we are talking about talking with prominent educators to talk to breathe life into our parents, into our teachers, into our grandparents, our stakeholders in the community. So this is a free event. It's going to happen on the Zoom platform like I'm in today. So you actually should be dropping that link. You can click that. It is happening Labor Day from 1 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's absolutely free. Again, it's happening on the Zoom virtual environment. Click the link, sign up, and make sure that you join us. If you've seen any of our events that we've been putting on this summer, our virtual events, you know that our panelists and our presenters bring the heat. So you're definitely going to enjoy our Black to School special. Number two, our UI membership, our Urban Intellectuals membership is live, right? It is official. Inside of you join Urban Intellectuals, you can gain regular Black history classes for teens and adults that is being taught by our teachers inside of Urban Intellectuals. So we'll have more information about that. But make sure that you consider joining us. So if you enjoy our flashcards, if you enjoy our Sankofa Club, if you enjoy our puzzles, our games all centered around Black history and culture, you're going to absolutely love the classes that are featured inside of the Urban Intellectuals membership. Number three, we have an Ethiopia session. There we go. Coming up this Thursday, next Thursday, September the 5th. At 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, this will be a Zoom presentation where we are talking about the 5 reasons Ethiopia was never colonized, right? So we want you to kind of join us for that discussion. And of course, we'll be opening up an opportunity to travel to Ethiopia with us. But many people aren't aware that Ethiopia is one of the nations in Africa that was never actually colonized. And we're going to dive deeper into that discussion on September the 5th. What else is going on? Hey, if you've been following us, I just got back from Cuba actually yesterday. I just left the Detroit area, dropping my father off. This is my dad. He's 94 years young. He's always wanted to go to Cuba, and we went and shared this experience together. In the middle of the trip, he stopped and said this was the trip of a lifetime. That's what he called it, the trip of a lifetime. So needless to say, as a son, I felt great. Right, hearing my dad say that. So that was a great experience for me. But Cuba was different. It was different than any of the countries that we traveled to. I'll give you a little bit of peek inside of Cuba, right? La Revolucion Square up there in the upper right-hand corner. You can see that picture of Shea. I took that picture there. This is us in the hotel on the rooftop. In the bottom left-hand corner. In the background is the Capitol. The Capitol building of Cuba there. You got to get the old car tour. If you're going to go into Cuba, you see Dad relaxing in the background. That's us having a cerveza there in Cuba, trying to cool off because that heat was fierce and serious there. Great experience. Again, a country, something like I've never experienced before. And I'll be talking specifically about Cuba Sunday, right? So we do our Sunday roundtable talks. So if you're on our email list, make sure you're checking your email and show up Sunday as I'll dive deeper into Cuba and some of the lessons that I learned. I'm gonna give you a little bit here today. Some more of the classic cars that was there from the 50s and the 60s. If you know the history of Cuba, again, I'll talk to you a little bit more about that. This is 94 in the middle here dancing. I got some video of my man dancing a bit, spinning the young lady. We had dinner and music, dance. It was a beautiful experience. Of course, I'm going to enjoy a Cuban cigar. I'm not really a cigar smoker, but I had a couple of Cubans while I was there, right, along with some Cuban coffee. Great experience overall. But if you're interested in traveling to Cuba with us, we have a mailing list for you, right? Please, Ashley, go ahead and drop that list in the comments. So we have a waiting list coming, right? So Cuba is different. I just got to keep emphasizing that this was a different experience. Let me come on camera here. This was a different experience, unlike anything I've ever traveled to before. And for that reason, we will not be taking a large group, right? So we're going to take somewhere between 15 and 20 people. 20 people will be the absolute max. But we'll be going in January, early January. I don't have the dates nailed down just yet. We're selecting January because we're going before January the 20th, the installation of the new American president. Why, Freddie? Why would we turn around and go so quickly? Because we don't know what the president is going to do, whether it's Kamala, whether it's Trump, whether it's some surprise, somebody else. It doesn't matter. We don't know what that new administration is going to do and their stance towards Cuba is going to be. So while the getting is good, we're going to jump in and go have this experience. And I can tell you one of the most shocking things that I learned and experienced there through my eyes was it's a majority African people of African descent there in at least Havana. I was all over Havana, West Havana, East Havana. We were all through Havana for the most part for the 5 days that we were there. And I can tell you that the African people are there, and they've maintained some of their African traditions, their spiritual systems. It was really, really interesting. But I mean, literally, you're walking around, and every 8 or 9 out of 10 people you see is Black, right? And they don't. You're just gonna have to come back. And if we can dive deeper into this discussion, I can continue on for this because I just got back. I'm on fire and excited to have this discussion with our community. But it was a beautiful experience, beautiful people. I really enjoyed it. The food was good. The sites were there. The history is there. It's a really powerful experience. And again, everything we do is Black and African centered. So that's what we're going to chase, the Black history and culture that is alive and well in Cuba, right? All right, so again, jump on the mailing list if you're interested. Again, we're going to take the first 15, maybe 20 people max, right? And I'll tell you what else I learned about Cuba in the southern region of Africa as well. So we're talking about the southern region of Africa today, but I learned some stuff in Cuba, kind of validated some things that I knew. So I'll be diving into that in just a moment. All right, let's dive into our discussion about the southern region of Africa, right? So we're going to get into this now. But let's go back. If you've been following this series, we've been breaking down Africa by region, correct? So we talked about the other regions, and today we're in the southern region, but it's the second largest continent. Africa's it's a continent. The second largest continent is 54 recognized countries. While I was in Cuba, I learned that the Africans recognize a 55th country, right? So let's keep that in mind. Another discussion. This stuff just continues to unfold, right? But America in the West doesn't recognize this 55th country. So we'll talk about that another time. But there are 5 regions: North, West, East, Central, and Southern. Today, we're going to be focused on the Southern region. All right, so what you have down there is cultural and economic hubs, but we're talking about the countries of Botswana, South Africa, Malawi, Lesotho. I swear, like when I'm practicing these things roll off my tongue, you turn on the camera and I'm stumbling, right? Swaziland, Mozambique, Namibia, Angola, Zimbabwe, and Zambia. So these are the areas, again, rich cultural connections and centers of economic trade. You got Johannesburg in South Africa, Windhoek in Namibia, and other important tourism points. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about and trade routes. If you're joined Urban Intellectuals and you're a member and you're taking our classes, you know Dr. Aiden has been going over Africa and these particular trade routes throughout the continent, and how important they are. And the southern hemisphere of Africa has some of those important trade routes as well. Is where you find the larger economic empires in the area. All right, so here's 5 reasons to visit Southern Africa. Number 1 is the cradle of humanity is there. Southern Africa is the home to one of the most significant archaeological sites in the world, the cradle of humanity, located just outside of Johannesburg in modern day South Africa. This is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and contains some of the oldest hominoid fossils ever discovered, dating back to over 3 million years, right? So a very interesting aspect of humanity is located down there, where it's thought to be the beginning of human civilization for us. The Zimbabwe civilization, which many of you may be familiar with, but it's around the 11th century to 15th century, and is renowned for its massive stone structures. One of South Africa's most powerful and advanced civilizations during the medieval periods, or during this particular time. I hate that term, medieval. But in the ruins of Zimbabwe, with its impressive stone architecture and intricate craftsmanship, stands as a testament to the sophistication and prosperity of the ancient African kingdom. And I love to bring those topics up because America kind of drives a view of the world that the Africans were primitive before colonization, before the enslavement, These were primitive places, and none of this could be further from the truth. As we like to say, didn't no one steal any slaves when they came into Africa and started their nonsense around the globe. But they stole engineers and architects and astrologists and agriculturalists. They stole people of knowledge and substance, which is why I think you can see it. You can't quite see it behind me here. I have a we have a statement here at the organization. Our history started before slavery, and it's something that we live by and we understand to be true because we are older people than what has happened to us. Number three, the apartheid movement is really big in the area and is most famous in South Africa. But South Africa's anti-apartheid struggle is the cornerstone of the modern Black history. Leaders like Mandela, Winnie Mandela, Steve Biko, and many others have fought against the brutal history of racial segregation and oppression there. And it kind of mimicked our civil rights movement during the same period in time, but it lasted much longer. But visiting South Africa gives you unique opportunities to explore key sites, such as Robben Island. This is where Nelson Mandela was held for 27 years. The Apartheid Museum, from my understanding, will absolutely change your life. We go into Soweto, and where the resistance really took shape, and that's where that movement kind of came alive. Number four is the rich cultural heritage of the Zulu and the Hausa people. Very important ethnic groups down there, two of the largest ethnic groups, in fact, down in South Africa, each with rich cultural heritage that includes music, dance, oral traditions, distinctive societal structures, and more. Of course, you probably heard of Shaka Zulu, right? He's from one of the most famous African leaders, united the Zulu nation in the 19th century and left a mark on the region's history, a strong mark on the region's history. Now, I like to veer off a little bit more into this conversation around De Beers and Cecil Rhodes. So you have to catch me on Sundays as we dig a little bit further into this history when I got a bit more time. But exploring these cultural areas provides insight to the diversity and the resilience of African tradition that have been preserved over the centuries. So it's beautiful to study the history and to go see it yourself. Again, we're big on going to see the history and culture ourselves, right? That is something that is big here at Urban Intellectuals. But the role of African women in the liberation movements have been key. And Black women, I don't know what's going on with our society or the Black community here in the United States. But women have always been a part of the resistance, have always been part of the movement, not only part of, but in many times leading the resistance and leading the movements and leading the fights, physical as well as strategic as well, right? So I don't know what this movement to oppress this patriarchy, right, that we're getting from the West. I don't really understand our infatuation with it. So I love to bring up points of interest when it comes to women and their role in the movement and the struggle. But women played a crucial role in these liberation movements throughout Southern Africa, from South Africa's apartheid movement to Namibia's fight for independence from the South African rule. Figures like Liana Ngoyi, Albertina Sisulu, and Ruth First. Boy, I know I'm butchering these names, but I'm gonna get them. I'm committed to articulating their names correctly. I'm gonna keep working on that. But they were instrumental in the mobilizing of communities and advocating for equal rights and challenging oppressive regimes. These stories of courage and leadership highlight the vital role of Black women in the fight for freedom and justice, offering an inspiration to all, right? Everybody has been involved in our movement, and we need to stop isolating, particularly women, and trying to nudge them out of getting credit for their involvement, right? But here's a bonus, right? Because I just got back from Cuba. I just kind of wanted to highlight some of the things that were kind of new, but some of the things that were emphasized there. But Cuba and Castro, and particularly Che, who went over into Southern Africa to help train the militaries of Angola and others in the region, but were providing military support strategy. They had just defeated the Spanish and the Americans with their guerrilla warfare tactics. But you find that Cuba is very instrumental in the freedom and the release of these African countries during the 50s and the 60s, right? They were very instrumental in these areas, and they were very intentional about sending assistance in this area, right? There's some good reasons behind that. But they not only did that throughout Angola and South Africa and helping the ANC and helping with the fight with Winnie Mandela after Nelson went to jail. Winnie and the fight continued, right? It didn't just happen in Robbins Island where the one man was sitting in jail. That movement never stopped, but they didn't stop there. They went into Central America, South America, and continued to help the fight against colonialism around the world, right? Which is part of the reason Dad and I really wanted to go to Cuba to touch down and have that experience and figure out, learn more about what was Castro and Che's inspiration for doing these things. And I think we found a little bit of that. But undermining, I mentioned the apartheid regime was big for the Cuban military and the Cuban mission there in the continent. Support for Namibia's independence. Again, Castro and Che in particular was over there training and helping them fight for that. But inspiration and solidarity, they always talked about the global African people, and those individuals are show my screen. Those individuals are a important part of all of that discussion, right? So I've just got the words up there, right? Sorry, Karen. Thank you for that. Right. But those individuals are, I promise I'm gonna go much deeper on all of this as I start to break down more of our Cuban talk and what I learned there, and some of the hidden gems in our history that is really being intentionally held from you, right? I think we got to dig deeper, right? But their medical and educational assistance throughout the continent, throughout South America, throughout Central America, and throughout the world. Even to this day, the Cuban people, as oppressed as they are, still donates more doctors and medical services to the world than any other country, right? Countries way bigger, including the United States. This does not exclude the United States. The Cuban government is committed to being a blessing to people around the world. This was part of Castro's dream and mission, and they are still continuing to push that out, which is very impressive, despite all of the things that are pushing back against them, let's just say. But do we travel to the southern region, right? So can I get on a Sankofa experience and come to the southern region? You absolutely can. And in fact, we go into South Africa, and this is one of our groups that were there in South Africa at Soweto. So we talked about that a little bit in the history, but the prices start about $5,100 for this opportunity. South Africa is an easy trip, right? So there's no visa requirements. There's no vaccination requirements. We actually have 4 dates available. You will be flying into and out of Johannesburg is the particular area that you will fly into and out of. So if you're looking for flights, I believe Ashley's going to drop the link down in the comments. Yes, sankofaexperiences.com/travel South Africa. If you are interested in coming to South Africa with us, you make sure that you can click that and you can see all 4 of the dates and have an opportunity to select which one is right for you. We're going as early as December of this year and then also into next year. So you have 2025. So you have those opportunities as well. All right, so I want to open it up for Q&A, just in case you have any questions for me. Make sure that if you're on Facebook, you can drop them down into the comments. Or someone was asking to make this shareable. We're inside of a private group, Marie, so I'm sorry about that, but the private group, you can invite your friends into the group and they can see this information, but there's no way for us to make it shareable. If you show up later on our YouTube channel, we're going to upload all of this to our YouTube channel, and then you can share that out. That's definitely, yeah, how exciting, definitely exciting information. All right, yeah, and there is the dates for next year, right? So March 1st through the 10th, 2025, September 12th through the 21st, 2025, November 3rd through the 12th, 2025. So those are our dates that are available for our South Africa trip experiences for next year. If you're interested in going this year, we're going in December. I forget the dates, but that's pretty soon. I understand that. So that's why we talked about our next year date. So if you click that link, you can sankofaexperiences.com/travel South Africa. You will be able to see that information. Are there any questions for me? If you're here in the Zoom, you can raise your Zoom hand. You don't have to necessarily ask directly about either this trip or, the southern region. I am here for a few minutes. So if you have any questions about any parts of Africa, maybe I'll entertain a couple of questions about Cuba, or, urban intellectuals and the organization and the work that we do in general. I am open to any of that. If not, yeah, if not, that's fine too. But I definitely want to make sure that I open up and give y'all an opportunity to ask any questions that you might have. I believe that travel is important because it changes us, right? These conversations that I've been having since getting back from Cuba, well, actually, since being in Cuba, right? And trying to think of a nice way to say this, so I'm just going to say it. And the ignorance that comes out of our community about stuff that we think we know, right? Like it's amazing how it seems like the people that don't go anywhere or don't travel for any travel at all have the most, seem to know the most about a location, right? Like I'm literally in Cuba talking about what I'm experiencing and seeing, and people telling me it ain't like that, right? It's like the audacity of ignorance is something else to me. All right, how long is the trip to South Africa? So they're about 9 days. So like March 1st through the 10th. Daryl, thank you for the question. So about 9 days is our typical South African experience. So you'll fly in on the 1st. We ask people to try to land between 12 p.m. and 4 p.m. local time. So that's something to think about when you're traveling. Try to get there. If you have to make a decision, come in earlier, right? Because you want to try to we wanted you to get a little bit of a rest. And then that evening, we want to have a welcome dinner or get the group together. So we want you to have some time to rest, check into your room and relax a little bit, look around, and get acclimated to the trip. So if anything, you could come in a day early if you like as well. So I like to do that. And I like to stay a day late, right? So I don't have to rush up out of there and really just relax and enjoy the location. But good question. Yeah, so they're about 9 days there in South Africa, March 1st through the 10th of 2025, September 12th through the 21st, 2025, November 3rd through the 12th, 2025, right? So that's that. And you'll fly into Johannesburg, and then we'll get you in and around the country. There's a safari there. We're doing wine tastings at a Black-owned winery. Yes, there's shopping, there's opportunities. You're definitely going to Robbins Island. We're definitely going to the Apartheid Museum. You're definitely going into Soweto. You're going to see Tabletop Mountain and a lot of other things in and in between, done with a local guide, somebody that is local to the area, that understands the history, that understands the culture, the people, the traditions. We really want to try to immerse ourselves in the culture. You're going to eat the foods, right? You're going to enjoy some of the shows, some of the cultural experiences. We're going to see the artwork. You're going to get an opportunity to dance, right? So there's just a wide variety of opportunities there on these Sankofa experiences that we have. But it's just really about bringing us together closer with our history and our culture, right? We are a global people. We have global commonalities. I think that's what I'm trying to say. We have much more in common than we have against one another or against one another. Yeah. So we're just looking for ways to bring ourselves together. And I learned that through travel, the more you understand about a people, the more you understand and respect their history and their culture, the more you humanize them, and the more that you can learn and find more areas of similarities and common ground between us. And that's what we need to do as Africans in the diaspora, because we're listening to people who have literally enslaved our ancestors for centuries, right? That's not even being facetious, right? And oppressed and held them back and politically lynched us and economically damaged us, right? Inhibited us for centuries. And we allow these individuals to stand in the middle between us, Africans in America, and Africans on the continent, or Africans in South America. We're listening to people who benefit from us being apart, right? So through our experiences, we're trying to bring us together. so that we can start to have conversations directly, one-on-one, one-to-many, and ask all of the questions that are on your mind, right? I noticed even traveling around the country in the United States that most of us have no idea of the impact of colonization on Africans on the continent. We think, oh, well, they maintain their history and their culture. They should have been straight. Why ain't they got their stuff together? But through our ignorance of colonization, we don't really get why Africa's in the state that it's in today. And we think that, oh, yeah, it's all those Africans are in control of their political system. They should be fine. Why aren't they advancing? But that control oftentimes is just on the surface, let's just say. Like, for instance, in South Africa, they have control, there's Africans in control of the politics, but literally 7% of the population, which is the Europeans in South Africa that call themselves South African, control 95% of the wealth in the country, right? So if 7% of the people controlling 95% of the wealth, the rest of the country is struggling, right? These people are hurting, right? But we don't really have this understanding. And I think through travel, you start to go see it and experience more about it. And you find a similar story throughout the rest of the continent, although not so many Europeans directly in control. It's the puppet master game, right? That's happening a lot. But going to reconnect, I think, is something that's really important. And it's really eye-opening when you get the opportunity. But I love to reconnect. I love to travel. I don't know how many of you are travelers, but I love to travel. It gives me an education every time I go to a place. But being in Cuba like gave me some more insight on South Africa, right? So I'm really excited to get to South Africa. I haven't been there personally yet myself. So I'm looking forward to get on one of those trips. Either I'm going to go in December here of this year or next year because my dad is he wants to go there now. So apparently on these trips, he tells me the next trip that he wants to take. So while we were in Cuba, he was like, well, we're learning this stuff about the assistance to the ANC with Cuba. Like, man, I think South Africa is next. So I'm interested in that. I'm just, looking forward to figuring out how to secure this flight so that he can handle it. It's a pretty far trip. But for those of you that might be afraid of traveling great distances, I don't think that you can allow experiences of a lifetime to be dampened by travel, right? By traveling on an airplane. It's a comfortable airplane, right? It's not like you're going by boat. We don't got to go by camel's back. We're talking about double-digit hours of travel, 14, 16 hours in the air to get there on direct flights now. By the way, this is far, far away, but it's an experience of a lifetime to allow something as little as a plane ride. And I am minimizing it because I know the impact that it has on people's lives when you start to get to the continent and start to engage that history and that culture firsthand for yourself. A little plane ride shouldn't be able to stop you, right? I want to encourage you not to let a little plane ride stop you from having these experiences. So yeah, there's that. I could talk about that all day as well. But yeah, so I want to invite you to come on to South Africa with us. I want to invite you to ask any of your questions that you might have for me in this moment. I got a few more minutes. But I am excited to continue to share this information with you on Travel Talks. I'm here every Tuesday, unless I'm traveling, like I missed last Tuesday, but I'm always trying to figure out different ways to engage you, give you some more insight about the African diaspora, the African people, our history, our culture, our experiences. I want to share videos and conversations. In fact, I did a 30-minute interview with 94 while we were there in Cuba. So we're going to release that at some point. But just getting his insights is really, it's next level, right? To hear a 94-year-old talk about their travel adventures. But that's my man. I love him to death. And he thoroughly enjoyed this. I've listened to him talk about going to Cuba for 40 years, right? And so it was just great to be a part of getting him there. All right, so I see y'all don't have any questions for me. Again, I am here every Tuesday for Travel Talks. It's usually for Travel Talks, we use about 30, 45 minutes or so. If y'all have questions, I typically stick around as long as an hour. Every Sunday, I'm doing our Sunday roundtable. So the first hour is available to everyone. The second hour is members only inside of our membership. So members of Urban Intellectuals. But we have great discussions about the state of the Black community inside of there. Black to School is happening on Monday on Labor Day. So make sure that you sign up for that. Just join our email list. Come on inside of the group. Make sure you stay connected. There's always something great going on here at Urban Intellectuals. Yeah, Black to School, you see the link there. Make sure you sign up for that. I would love to have you in attendance. I got an all-star lineup for you there, right? September 5th, we are doing our Ethiopia session where I'll be talking about 5 reasons Ethiopia was never colonized. And we'll open up an opportunity to travel to Ethiopia with us. 2025 is the first time we are going to Ethiopia. So we're really excited about that. So we definitely want you to join that. But yeah, there's always something new and exciting going on in and around Urban Intellectuals. Again, if you're not on a mailing list, just join one of them and you would have an opportunity to see everything that's going on, right? If you're interested in going to Cuba, here's the waiting list for that one as well. Again, we're only going to take about 15 to 20 people to Cuba. It is different, man. It's the first communist country that I've ever traveled to. And it is different, right? I got so many things I can't wait to say about it. But if you were looking forward to having that experience, again, we're going in January of 2025. But you're going to have to join the wait list. So we're going to give everyone an opportunity to come with us on the waiting list first. So if you're on that waiting list, bang, jump in here. And if you see it, you're going to have to take advantage of it because we expect it to sell out pretty quickly. And we're probably only going to go once before January 20th. Again, I don't know what's going to happen on the other side of the election or what the new president is going to decide on their relationship with Cuba. But either way, we are traveling. Either way, we are going to talk about our experiences. Either way, I'm going to encourage you to come and see these things for yourself. But make sure that you stay tapped into Urban Intellectuals for more information. So if that's it, if there are no other questions, I'm going to play our outro. And I'll see you next week. Greetings, I'm Freddie Taylor, CEO and founder of Urban Intellectuals, and we are behind the Sankofa experiences. This is where Black history travel made easy is not just our mantra, it's a promise. Our mission? To reconnect you with your roots, your culture, and the history of the African diaspora. Now spanning across 10 African nations and the vibrant cultures of Colombia and Brazil, the Sankofa experiences is expanding. We've crafted curated group travel experiences that do more than just visit. They immerse, they educate, they transform. From the historic forts of Ghana to the bustling markets of Nigeria, the serene beaches of the Gambia to the rugged mountains of Morocco, and beyond even South Africa and South America, each destination holds a special place and part of our story. Embarking on these Sankofa journeys means more than just exploring more landscapes. It means walking in the footsteps of the ancestors, embracing the diversity of our heritage and seeing the world through a lens of understanding and appreciation. It's a group experience where every traveler is a thread in the fabric of the shared narrative, making the journey safe, engaging, and unforgettable. So are you ready to embark on this adventure? To explore, to learn, to celebrate the legacy that connects us all. Join us in the Sankofa experiences, proudly powered by Urban Intellectuals. The only thing missing is you. Yes, yes. The only thing missing is you. So we definitely want to invite you to join us on one of these experiences. If you have any questions, when we get off of here, you can make sure you shoot an email to support@sankofaexperiences.com. That's support@sankofaexperiences.com. Eventually, you probably end up with Sister Ashley, who is here. So thank you, Ashley, for all that you do in supporting our efforts. But thank you, everyone, for joining us for another edition of Travel Talks. I appreciate y'all spending some time with me. Until next time, love, peace, and power to the people. Have a good day, everybody.